And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you why can't the experts say, we know that this virus is in fact, it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved, but permanently approved.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. We are live in Cincinnati, Ohio tonight on the campus of Mount St. Joseph University, overlooking the Ohio River. This is a CNN town hall with the President of the United States, Joe Biden. I'm Don Lemon.
Donna Lamone, that greasy lip bitch. So basically, one of Biden's henchmen, one of his cheerleaders. That's like you're interviewing a football player and you want the moderator is going to be one of the cheerleaders for that team.
Ain't that right, little fella?
He ain't lying.
Who the fuck you think he talking to? Fuck that. I keeps it real.
President Biden is 6 months into his presidency, facing a critical moment for his agenda. Nearly half of the U.S. population is now fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Without further ado, everyone, let's welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
How you doing, pal?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
How you been?
Well.
You're good.
Well. Thank you.
It's good to see you. It's
good
really
to be back with you.
Yeah, you as well. So listen, I want to get to the audience, and I know you don't want to sit down, right? You'd rather stand here and talk to these guys.
I'm going to go out in the audience.
You'd rather stand here and talk to these guys.
I'm going to go out in the audience.
You'd rather stand here and talk to these guys.
I'm going to go out in the audience.
We're going to get to the audience questions in just a moment, but I have a couple questions I want to ask you because you know the pandemic is a big concern.
If you're vaccinated, you're not going to be hospitalized, you're not going to be in an ICU unit, and you're not going to die. So it's gigantically important that you act like, we all act like Americans that care about our fellow Americans. There's legitimate questions people can ask that they worry about getting vaccinated, but the questions should be asked, answered, and people should get vaccinated. But this is not a pandemic. Saying, look, it's a little bit like when I got elected. You know, this pandemic was out of control. You know, we've lost more people in the United States, over 630-some thousand people, over 630-some thousand people.
You'd be damned if any slope's going to put the greasy yellow hands on his boy's birthright, so he hid it. In one place he knew he could hide something, his ass.
If you're vaccinated, even if you do catch the virus, quote unquote, like people talk about it in normal terms, you're an overwhelming, not many people do. If you do, you're not likely to get sick. You're probably going to be symptomless. You're not going to be in a position where your life is in danger. Yeah. So it's really kind of basic.
Let's get to the questions, Mr. President. Okay.
What is your message to those parents, educators, and school districts?
I understand your concern. I really do. My children are grown now, but my grandchildren, I have one is only 1.5 years old. So, you know, I understand. Number one, my message is that one of the reasons why, you remember the criticism I got initially saying teachers should get vaccination, get in line first.
You know you're a fucking mumbling, stuttering little fuck. You know that?
Everyone under the age of 12 should probably be wearing a mask in school. That's probably what's going to happen. Secondly, those over the age of 12, everyone under the age of 12 should probably be wearing a mask in school. That's probably what's going to happen. Secondly, those over the age of 12 who are able to get vaccinated, if you're vaccinated, you shouldn't wear a mask. If you aren't vaccinated, you should be wearing a mask. Who are able to get vaccinated, if you're vaccinated, you shouldn't wear a mask. If you aren't vaccinated, you should be wearing a mask. So it's going to get a little bit tight in terms of, well, are mom or dad being honest that, you know, Johnny did or did not get vaccinated? That's going to raise questions.
You know you're a fucking mumbling, stuttering little fuck. You know that?
And so it's going to, I think it's a matter of community responsibility, and I think you're going to see it work through.
Well, let me follow up on a question and ask you, when will children under 12 be able to get vaccinated?
Soon, I believe. Now, look, one of the things that I committed to do when I got elected, I said
How soon is soon, Mr. President? Not to
well, and that's let me finish the question. Well, let me finish the question. Well, and that's let me finish the question. Doing the examinations now, the testing now, and making the decision now. When they are ready, when they've done all the scientific need be done to determine children at ages 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, they in fact all have different makeups. They're developing. They're trying to figure out whether or not there's a vaccination would affect one child that's at such and such an age and not another child. That's underway, just like the other question that's illogical. And I've heard you speak about it because you always, I'm not being solicitous, but you
know you're a fucking mumbling, stuttering little fuck. You know that?
And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you are. Why can't the experts say we know that this virus is in fact it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved but permanently approved. Yeah. You may have heard that I was critical of some of the things that are on Facebook. And I was attacking Facebook. I wasn't attacking Facebook. There was a report out saying that something like 45% of the overwhelming disinformation on Facebook comes from 12 individuals. Yep. I said they're killing people. Those 12 individuals, yep. That misinformation is going to kill people. So I shouldn't make fun of it. That's good. It's good. It's good. We just have to keep telling the truth. That's why, for example, my wife just flew to Alaska today to do an event in Alaska about making sure people understand and get vaccinated, talking about COVID, et cetera. So it's, and by the way, there's pockets. If you notice, there's about, 4 or 5 states that have close to 45% or whatever. I don't hold me an exact number.
Lower than that. Even in my home state of Louisiana, it's 36%, and I think there are other southern states.
You go back just to even World War II, African Americans were used as experimental. They're almost like guinea pigs in terms of We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. They were, anyway, it would. And your mom and dad remember that, or your grandparents remember that. And so there's a reason for people to think that, I don't know, I'm not sure I trust this. Don't have much access to anything. So we've taken literally mobile vans and people to the communities, to the hardest hit communities. And it's beginning to have some impact, but we have to talk about it more. For example, I was just with, I get in trouble because my wife is a Philly girl and a Philly fan and an Eagles fan. I just hosted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And there's a quarterback there. What's his name? Anyway, all kidding aside, what we're doing is getting people of consequence who are respected in the community, whether they're athletes, whether or not they are entertainers, whether they're just well-respected. And by the way, one of the things I've gotten able to get done, I have overwhelming support from the African-American clergy that I sort of come from in my sort of support. They are opening up their churches.
Yeah, I don't know what I just said, but I said something.
Mm-hmm. You got the vaccination?
Yeah.
Are you okay? I mean, you seem, no, it works. Or or the mom and dad, or the neighbor, or when you go to church, or when you're, I really mean it. There are trusted interlocutors. Think of the people, if your kid wanted to find out whether or not there's a man on the moon, or whatever, something, or, whether those aliens are here or not, who are the people they talk to beyond the kids who love talking about it? They go to people they respect. And they say, what do you think? And so they should be asking other people, for everything from their teachers to their ministers to their priests to people that they trust.
Yeah, I don't know what I just said, but I said something.
Are you concerned about the higher inflation prices, especially as we see gasoline, automotive, and food prices increase rapidly? What is your administration doing to help prevent the economy from overheating, such as the poor and middle class are not hurt by the higher prices of goods in the long run?
First of all, the good news is the economy is picking up significantly. It's rational when you think about it. The cost of an automobile is kind of back to what it was before the pandemic. The cost of an automobile is kind of back to what it was before the pandemic. The cost of an automobile is kind of back to what it was before the pandemic.
I'll believe that when my shit turns purple and smells like rainbow sherbet.
There will be near-term inflation because everything is now trying to be picked back up. And by the way, that's one of the reasons why I also signed an executive order dealing with the whole idea of competition. You know, the idea that we're in a situation where there are so many companies who are keeping people out of the competition. For example, you have over 600,000 people out there signing, 6 million people signing, I better check the number.
You know you're a fucking mumbling, stuttering little fuck, you know that?
Look, here's the deal. Moody's today, when a Wall Street firm, not some liberal think tank, said if we pass the other two things I'm trying to get done, we will in fact reduce inflation. Reduce inflation. Reduce inflation. Because they're going to be providing good opportunities and jobs for people who, in fact, are going to be reinvesting that money back in all the things we're talking about, driving down prices, not raising prices. And so it is.
You know you're a fucking mumbling, stuttering little fuck, you know that?